that you have the knowledge to take the fitness industry to where it needs to be, but you're choosing to join the masses of drivel,
Just sell something.
just to make a quick buck.
Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost.
Okay everyone, welcome to another video, slightly different this time. So I've got a special guest star with me today. So we've got Mark Wood. Your socials are?
My personal social is Mark Origin Series, and the gym is Origin Athletic Fitness, which is based down in Bristol. But obviously we're at Rod's place today. And I've known Rod for a hell of a long time. And today we're just going to be chatting about state of the fitness industry. You can kick off.
Yeah. So we thought we'd continue with the theme of my kind of honesty, and we'd chat about the fitness industry, as Mark just said. I'll link his descriptions and his socials in the description below for you. If you want to follow him, please follow him. Worth following. But yeah, we'll give you an honest review of the fitness industry at the moment. Mark is very much like me. He's kind of black and white, says it how it is, so I won't pull any punches. So I guess we'll start with how we feel the fitness industry is at the moment. I mean, from my point of view, and I do know you probably agree with me, the fitness industry is a bit saturated and swamped with lack of talent, shall we say? Lack of knowledge? Yeah?
Yeah, I actually had a similar conversation, with one of our coaches earlier in the week. We were chatting about what the fitness industry was like when I got into it, or certainly when I first started training, not necessarily got into the industry. And it was just kind of, I remember the first gym I went to, and it was almost like, go to the biggest guy and ask him, like, how to train. Just like, all right. And then there was no YouTube, there's no social media, there's no Instagram, there's no Facebook. It was either like, literally find the biggest bloke. Like find the biggest bloke, ask him how to train, or buy a magazine, buy a book. There wasn't even things like research journals. If there was, you certainly had to pay a load of money to get access to them. So you weren't even reading that. Whereas now, obviously, there's information overload everywhere. And I think one of the biggest issues is just an unregulated industry, right? So you could either get on Gumtree, get yourself a qualification for about a tenner, or you could just not bother and
Which is what most people
do it anyway. Yeah, right. So
yeah. Again, my kind of intro to the fitness industry was slightly different. I mean, I played sports as a kid, played football, basketball, etc., but I mean, I joined the military as a kid, so I was 18 when I joined as a physical training instructor. But even then, if I think back to the knowledge that I gained as a physical training instructor, how antiquated and outdated that was. And again, like you said, it wasn't based on research and journals. It was kind of based on what your instructor had been told by somebody else down the line. And a lot of the time, what we were taught and we were trained, it would be, what's your instructor training for? He's training for a marathon. Okay, we're going to learn how to run a marathon. So it wasn't even scientific to some of it. It changed as went through my career massively, and I did learn how to read research. But, I mean, I am going back 24 years ago since I joined the Air Force. Yeah, so it has changed a lot since then, and it's a hell of a lot more academic in the military now in terms of physical training instructors. But yeah, I can remember, same as you, walking into gyms and the kind of bro lore, almost like, I ate Cocoa Pops to get this big, and that was like gospel, because he ate Cocoa Pops, everybody else ate Cocoa Pops, and that still goes around. I've heard people recently saying, I was told I need to eat Cocoa Pops after I train because it helps you store the glycogen so you get more. And while there's an element of kind of truth with that, with carbohydrate storage, glycogen, it's not the frickin' Cocoa Pops that are doing it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that it kind of, again, it's another conversation I had. It kind of goes full circle, doesn't it? Because people used to say that back in the day, and again, it was the same. Like when I first started training and walked into a gym, it was just like, who's the biggest guy? And usually, he was wearing a high vis and a pair of work boots, so he'd just come off site. And do you know what I mean? So, and it was him. But you go to some gyms now, and that still happens.
Yeah.
And then all of that kind of stuff that was back then is kind of like, it starts to come back around, or has potentially even just always been there, just not really been in the limelight. But then I think one of the biggest issues you have with the fitness industry now is, especially on social media, I think, is nobody even talks about coaching anymore. Nobody even talks about programming, being a PT, being a coach. Everyone talks about how to get leads, how to sell your product, this, that, and the other. And it just becomes sales and marketing as opposed to coaching. It's like, how much can you charge for your products, basically? Like, who can charge the most amount of money? The product's pretty good.
Well, there's quite a lot of them.
But they seem to gain traction on social media without any real credibility. Is the biggest problem, right?
Definitely something, it does upset me, and I often find myself asking myself, well, what am I doing wrong? Like, without being arrogant or anything, I believe I'm good at what I do, and I've been doing it for a while, and the products I sell and the coaching I deliver is of a high quality. And I think, how am I not busy when all these Muppets are swamped with people going to them? I think, like Mark said, it's marketing, it's their sales, and I'm rubbish at sales. I didn't join this to be a salesman. If I wanted to be a salesman, I would have went to a car lot. So
that's the thing, innit? You join because you want to help people. You join because you love coaching. You join because you love fitness. And back in the day, that's why people got into being a PT, right? They just loved training, loved fitness. Whereas now, people seem to come into the industry because they're kind of like, oh, I could work from Bali on a laptop and apparently make 10 grand a month. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And drive supercars. And people's measure of success of being a good coach nowadays is how many likes they get, how many followers they got, have they got a blue tick? And it doesn't, whereas there are people out there who are very, very good at what they do, very good coaches, very knowledgeable, but they kind of, they get missed in the weeds, right? Nobody finds them, nobody sees them. They probably don't make a good living out of a passion that they have. And it's a bit of a shame, isn't it? Like, because
I put myself in that category. I mean, like, I've got 200 followers on Instagram, which is, nothing. Yeah. I mean, I still plug away and I still put out posts and content. I won't give up. But yeah, I just don't have the same following. Like you said, I don't have the blue tick. I don't have, I don't get the likes. I'm lucky if I get 15 likes on a post. And then I look at other people who I think are just Muppets, and they're getting hundreds and hundreds and thousands of likes on something that's garbage. And they don't, like you said, they don't have the credentials, the knowledge, the experience, the coaching ability. They just have their top off, have a six-pack, and that's apparently a credential.
Yeah. I mean, they're confident on camera, right? So they're confident on camera. They're confident in putting one of their biggest assets, even though it's not really an asset, one of their biggest assets is they're confident at putting the information out that they put out, right? Some of it can be inaccurate information, but I guess they just still go with it with conviction. They still put it out there and believe that is their, correct and good. But yeah, it's not. And then you get clients. I mean, you've probably had it before. I've had clients that have come to me in the past and just like, oh, I've been following this program for however long, and I don't know, it's just some woman on Instagram who's got 200,000 likes and just does 1,000 glute kickbacks and banded workouts. Yeah. Just like, oh yeah, I'm just trying to get a bit stronger. Well, probably not going to do it. But then you potentially question that, and they just don't believe you. But then I think one of the other biggest issues I see with the fitness industry, social media probably has some part to play in this, is people want the results now. So people are selling programs and people are selling products where it's like, 6-week program, 8-week program. And they expect to get something in 8 weeks that's probably taken somebody 18 years to get. Do you know what I mean? Like a level of fitness, a level of strength, a level of muscle.
Special supplements.
Do you know what I mean? So it's not something that you're going to get in 8 weeks. But if they don't get the results in 8 weeks, they just don't think the product works because people aren't willing to put in the work. Because I think you put a video up about consistency and progressive overload. It's just like you need those two things for a considerably longer time than you're probably willing to work for.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like in that point of like the products and the kind of things that people put out there, like I've seen it recently and over the years, things out there, people saying certain exercise or certain product, it's the equivalent of doing 1,000 reps or whatever of an exercise just with this one thing. But if you know anything about exercise, that like beyond 30 reps of an exercise, it's pointless. You're not going to gain anything. So you've wasted 970 reps. Like, what's the point? Like, and it's just that kind of lack of knowledge, but preying on other people's lacks of knowledge, because people outside the fitness industry don't know that 30 reps is kind of the cap of where you're going to lose any actual gains when you're looking at hypertrophy or anything like that. So they're preying on it, and they're going, 1,000? Wow, it must be good. So they're preying on these people's lack of knowledge, which is, to me, unscrupulous, and it's just like total charlatans and scam artists, and that gets to me as well, like that preying on people's lack of knowledge. And some of it's deliberate, and some of it's not deliberate, but neither of them is acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, some of it's probably not deliberate because they also lack the knowledge themselves.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, some of it is, but some of it will be deliberate. And then people along those same lines, people seem to get hung up on there's the magic exercise, or I must be doing this exercise. But again, if you know anything about training, like the magic isn't really in the exercise. The magic is in the fact that you've probably done that exercise for a long time, repetitively, over and over and over again, progressively made it a little bit more challenging in some form. You know, there's various ways you can do that, but it's not going to be a specific exercise that's getting you a particular result. It's not going to be a specific diet that's getting you a particular result. It's going to be a set of principles that you're following for a really long time. One of the problems is they're probably pretty boring.
I think I know you've talked about it before, and I know it's a big thing in your courses that you deliver, and it's something that I've harped on about more than once, and it's stimulus and novelty and choosing the appropriateness of exercises. Like, too many times I see online coaches and online programs, and people have come to me with various, I'm doing this program and I'm doing X exercise, and I'm like, why? Like, that is pointless. Like, you don't have the skill to do it for a start. Like, ring dips is a classic example of something I see in a lot of beginner programs. Now, I love ring dips and I love gymnastic strength, but it's a pretty advanced exercise. The stability that's required for it outweighs the kind of benefit you're going to get as a beginner. Either just do normal tricep dips on a bar or dips on a box. Like, what's the point in putting in the rings? It looks impressive, and yeah, they might look good on it, but they've probably trained for a long time on the rings. So it's nothing. It's kind of stimulus, novelty, appropriateness of exercise. People want to look fancy, and that is a massive issue in the industry. I think, like you said, it's this kind of, people are too worried about people getting bored, which is an issue, but if they want to get the results, then you've got to accept that you're just going to have to put the work in. Like I said, it's not like red pill, blue pill. You know, it's not the Matrix. Yeah. Like, put in the bloody work. Yeah,
but for me, and I think that's where, like, again with our gym, and much like you, what you do with clients and your own training and stuff, it's just like there's a beauty in that, in the fact that you repetitively do the work, and I think the thing is that, especially with the fitness industry, is one of the good things about people training is you can just tell if somebody's put in the work. Do you know what I mean? Because you can't cheat your way to, well, unless you take a hell of a load of supplements, but like you can't cheat your way to being strong. You can't cheat your way to building muscle. You can't cheat your way to gaining fitness. You've either done the work or you haven't to get there. So,
or you're a genetic freak.
Yeah.
To exist. There's always an outlier to the bell curve.
Right, but there's not going to be that many of those,
yeah.
Right? So it's just, I don't know, I just have a level of respect for people who are just like, yeah, you've probably just done the boring stuff over and over and over again. And there's one or two people out there nowadays who are promoting continuously just repetitively doing that boring stuff. But there are still a lot of people which is a shame, that I know for a fact they are the people that do that boring stuff, but they still put on social media just all the fancy stuff. Yeah. Because it's kind of like, that's just what people want to see, right? But that's not actually what you do.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I think that's almost worse. Yeah. Like, that you have the knowledge to take the fitness industry to where it needs to be, but you're choosing to join the masses of shit and drivel. Just sell something. Just to make a quick buck. And like you said at the start, like, the reason got into this was to help people, because you loved coaching and you love seeing people develop. And like, it's a horrible, horrible thing to think the industry that I started in, whatever, 20 odd years ago, is like this. I mean, and honestly, it's the reason I left the industry, whatever it was, 8 years ago. That I took a break from it, stepped away, became a quantity surveyor. Because of that state it got to, it just got to the point where I was just like, I just don't love this anymore. I hate the amount of drivel that's out there, and I stepped away. Not fully, I kept a little hand in, but I stepped away. But it was the pure love of it that's brought me back, and I'm glad I'm back. But it's sad to see that the same problems still exist. Yeah.
I mean, so there was an event on in London a couple of weeks ago. I didn't go to it. It was an event called PerformX. I spoke there a couple of years ago. I didn't go this year, but I did hear some feedback. And interestingly, there was a lot of people who were saying this year it was especially saturated with marketing courses, business courses. Like, so, you know, people just think they're turning into a businessman because they're a personal trainer. It's just like, you're a coach, you're a personal trainer. It's a shame that there's events going on that are like that, where there is an opportunity to change the fitness industry back to almost how it was, but a better version of it. But they're still missing the mark, and it's just like marketing courses, business courses, how to make £10,000 a month, how to make £20,000 a month, not how to coach somebody. Because I think ultimately, like, your product should come first. If you've got a good product and you just keep pushing that good product, you will eventually succeed, like, because people will realize that it is a good product. But people just seem to bypass and not even care about the product. They just care about how can I make it look fancy? How can I sell it? How can I get people to it? But I reckon they'll be short-lived. They won't last long.
Oh, fingers crossed, because I'll be out of a job if they do. So yeah, so hopefully that's a nice little kind of summation, brief kind of chat about the fitness industry as we see it at the minute. If you enjoyed this kind of little conflab between the two of us, let us know. Drop some comments on your thoughts of the fitness industry, how you feel about it at the minute. If you think that it's difficult to get on board with, you find there's too much information out there, you don't know what information to be looking at, and me and Mark are always chatting, so I'm sure we can do more little videos together. If you'd like to see us together, I'm sure you'd like to see Mark more than me, but I won't take offence to that. But yeah, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Like I say, follow Mark on his socials. They'll be linked in the description below. And I'll see you in the next one. Big love.
Thank you very much. See you later.
Happy days. Cool, big man.
Sweet.